Hello, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today with me to practice Surya Namaskar A with the support of a chair. So Surya Namaskar, or sun salutations, have a very traditional approach to them, but sometimes that's not going to be accessible for everyone, and I want to change that today. My name is Sydney, if you don't already know me, and I have created this place, Sharing Calm, as a place for me to share, teach, and even learn more about calm with you right there with me. So if you like the idea of that and you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. But otherwise, let's get into it. I'll meet you on your chair. All right, so we're going to begin seated, pulling our sit bones forward to the edge of the chair, rooting down in those bones, knees and ankles in a line, soles of the feet firmly planted on the ground below you, or bringing a book or a block to lift the earth up so that your feet aren't dangling at all. You can bring your arms alongside your hips, maybe opening the thumbs forward and out so as to open the chest just slightly, but still pulling the belly button in, keeping the spine in a straight, stacked line. Close your eyes here for a few breaths. On your next inhale, bring your hands together at your chest and then lift them above your head. Exhaling to hinge at the hips, rounding your upper body over your thighs, arms dangling, crown of the head pointed down. Inhaling to bring the palms to the tops of the thighs, bringing your neck in line with your spine, flat back. Exhaling, keeping the flat back, but bringing your front body towards the tops of your legs. And then inhaling, just lifting your gaze and your chest an inch or two to get that back bend in the upper back. Exhaling to shift your hips back, pulling them back a little bit, and extending your arms alongside your ears. Really pushing a lot of energy through the hands as though you were pressing into the mat. So this is our equivalent of downward facing dog, which would be in the traditional Surya Namaskar sequence. But we're adjusting that for ourselves today by just extending our arms alongside our ears, lengthening the back, really feeling a stretch in the armpit, chest, and almost sending so much energy through the fingertips it feels like you're pressing into something. You might even straighten the legs slightly, flexing the feet. And breathe here. Just breathe here. On your next inhale, bend your knees if they were straightened, and bring your hands down to your thighs and just bring your spine in a straight line. Exhaling to collapse your upper body over your legs, head dangling, arms dangling. One more breath here. On your next inhale, stacking the spine in a straight line and reaching your hands up overhead. Exhaling to bring the hands together in front of your chest and then down at your sides. So that was one cycle of Surya Namaskar A. Traditionally, you'd move through each pose one breath at a time, only really holding that downward dog in 5 breaths or 4 or 5 breaths. So that first time I went through a little bit slower, some holds in the poses just to give you a chance to settle into them. You could even slow the video down half speed and take even more time. But we're going to move through that just one breath at a time, moving into a pose on an inhale, moving into another pose on an exhale, moving into another pose on an inhale, just so that you can kind of get a feel for it. It might feel fast-paced at first. I know that that is how I feel sometimes still in certain yoga classes. So don't get flustered with yourself if it feels like I'm just speed testing through this or something, because that's not the case. This is the kind of video that I've made for you to be able to come back to practice different versions, even playing around with it. Like maybe that didn't quite feel good for you, but maybe if you were against a wall, maybe that would feel good. So giving yourself a chance to play around and try different things and finding versions and variations of poses that work for you in the moment. That's kind of what this practice is all about. So it's not really a full yoga practice in a video, but more of an opportunity to give you options to add into a practice that you might do otherwise. But doing this video is great as well in and of itself. So one more time, without further ado, we're going to bring our hands alongside our hips again, really pressing down into the soles of the feet, pulling the belly button in. Inhaling, hands together at the chest, and then lifting them up to the sky, gaze up. Exhaling to hinge at the hips, allow the hands to waterfall down alongside the legs. Inhaling to press into the knees, lift halfway up, straight spine, long neck. Exhaling, just keeping that straight, flat back as you bring your front body towards your thighs. And then inhaling, pressing into your thighs, lifting the gaze slightly, opening the chest just one more inch. And then as you exhale, pull the hips back as you almost shoot and extend the arms forward alongside the ears, maybe straightening the legs, flexing the feet. Feeling movement, finding the place that feels good, settling in for 5 breaths. And 4 more. Slowing down the pace of the breath. One more breath here. On your next inhale, bending the knees, bringing the hands to the thighs, lengthening the back of the neck, flat back. Exhaling to round your spine, cascade your head and your arms down. And inhale to lift all the way up, stacking the vertebrae, hands lifting to the sky, gaze up. Exhaling, hands come together at your chest and then down alongside your hips. Taking a few breaths here in stillness. And go ahead and blink your eyes open just for a moment. So now we're going to move through a second version of Surya Namaskar using a chair, which is wonderful because most people have a chair. If you want to keep working in this first version, please do stay there, work through with the pace of the breath that you have today, and just maybe listen to me in the background as inspiration to keep going and to keep pushing through. But if you want to try it in a different version, what I'm going to have us do is stand and have the chair facing us like this. All right, so for this second version of Surya Namaskar A with the support of our wonderful chair here, we're going to begin standing facing the chair like so. And you can have your feet together, or you can have them hips distance apart, which would just be about 6 inches, or the distance between my pinky here and my pinky here when I hold my fists like this. So you can take your fists down between your feet to help you figure that out, or just eyeball it from up here and stand. So standing similar to how we were sitting, just bringing our hands alongside our hips, grounding down through the soles of the feet, all edges, really making sure that our pelvis isn't tilted forward, pointing downwards, but sit bones pointing down in the same way they were pointing down when you were seated in the chair. Belly button pulled in, chest and shoulders open by spiraling the thumbs forward and out. Back of the neck long, jaw relaxed. Take a breath or two here. On your next inhale, bring your hands together at your chest, and then following them all the way up above your head with your gaze. Exhaling to bend at the knees, hinge at the hips as you come down into a forward fold. Now this is your first point where you can use your chair friend. Pull your chair friend closer, and when you come down into a forward fold, you can rest the crown of your head on the seat of the chair. And then inhale, halfway lift, just pressing into the chair to help to straighten the legs and straighten the back. So you don't want your belly collapsed down like I just had there for a second. Broad awareness, pulled my belly button up and in. Lengthen my neck with my spine for this halfway lift. And then exhaling, we're going to bend at the knees and bend at the wrists for our little version of chaturanga, just a little ball. And then on the next inhale, going to press into the chair to straighten the arms slightly as you lift the gaze. Just a slight back bend in the upper body. And then on the next exhale, I want you to straighten the legs, lift the hips up and back, maybe walking backwards a few steps as you just press into the chair to push your upper body towards your thighs, head and chest coming through your biceps, walking back your feet as far as feels right, as far as feels comfortable, maybe even bending in the knees and coming up onto the toes for our version of downward dog today. This just helps to alleviate some of the pressure that can come into the wrists in a traditional downward facing dog. So it can be really hard to press into the fingertips when there's so much weight being bared down from the entire arm into the wrists. So when we come up a little bit, it allows our hands to be more in line with our arms. So that way there's a lot less pressure in the wrists here. On your next inhale, go ahead and walk your feet forward if they're out pretty far. We're doing our flat back here, long spine, belly button in. Then exhale to bend at the knees, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Your next inhale, keeping the knees bouncy, standing up straight, stacking the vertebrae, and raising your hands up alongside your ears, gaze up. Exhaling, hands come through heart center, and then open alongside your hips. Breathe here, bringing awareness to any changes you may be feeling in your body, that you may have never felt before or may have never felt recently. Listening to what feels good, but also listening to what brings pain. And in any movement or position that we bring ourselves through, listening to your body, and the moment that it goes beyond sensation to actual pain is when I'd like you to back off a little bit and go back into the sensation and breathe into the sensation. Don't allow yourself to get into that pain point or even further past it. You don't need to. If you can feel sensation just 1 inch into the pose, so say like forward fold, maybe you're not like upper body completely pancaked against lower body. Maybe you're all the way up here. But as long as you're feeling the sensation, the stretch in the back of the hamstrings, the length in the spine as it's curled over, the sit bones shining up towards the sky, if you have the same sensations up here as someone does down here, then why would you allow yourself to put yourself in a painful position just to try to see what the person down there might be experiencing? Because you're probably already experiencing the same thing, stepped back and on your specific edge or point of beauty in the pose, if you will. So that being said, just like we did when we were seated, we're going to move through that one more time in this version before we close out our practice for today. So standing tall, hands alongside the hip, belly button pulled in, sit bones pointing down, feet grounded. On your next inhale, bring your hands together at your chest and then alongside your ears. Exhaling to hinge at the hips, forward fold, curling the spine over, dropping the crown of the head down. Inhale to press palms into the chair, pull belly button in, flat back, neck long, an extension of the spine. Exhaling to bend the knees, bend the elbows for our little chaturanga ball. Inhaling to press into the fingertips to straighten the arms slightly, just so that you can lift the chest, lift the gaze, and open the shoulders. And your next exhale, straightening the legs, lifting sit bones up and back, walking yourself back just to straighten the arms and pull the chest and forehead through your biceps. Taking 5 breaths here. Three more breaths. One more breath. On your next inhale, walk your feet in. Keep the arms straight, pull the belly button in, lengthen the neck, flat back. Exhaling to bend the knees, forward fold. On your next inhale, rooting down through the feet to come up. Arms come alongside the ears, gaze up. Exhale to bring hands through chest and down at your sides, taking 2 breaths here. And on your next inhale, you can go ahead and blink your eyes open, taking in the colors and the sounds of your surroundings, and just feeling what that feels like in your body, to move and bend your body in that way. Surya Namaskar is a beautiful way to start the day, and it's also a good way to start any practice. It's really that wake up, that energize, that yang part of a yoga practice that can be so beneficial for clearing out anything that might be being blocked or held on to that you don't need to be holding on to. So if you liked this practice, another one that you might like to try is my 10-minute beginner chair yoga sequence. So you can click that here or find it in a link down below. Otherwise, my name's Sydney once again. This is Sharing Calm, and please subscribe. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Bye.